is from Aro-Tarot, and man, I've been meaning to make the third and final part for this for a while, so I'm going ahead and doing it right now. I'm not really tired yet, so I was like, let's go ahead and film, because I keep forgetting anyway. It's not like too late, it's only like 12:30 a.m., so I mean, not anywhere as much as I stayed up like last night, because I was sick last night. Well, I know never to eat there again. But yeah, anyway, so why am I looking? I'm like looking in like this, because I'm like, oh, I'm talking about Davin. So like I immediately grab like my composition notebook holder, and I was like, wait, this doesn't have my spreads in it. No, my spreads are in here, duh. So okay, it was the last one I wrote in here. Okay, so, I decided, to try, like, doing a comparison, to see if it would be different to do a reading for myself and what would happen for the campaign, like, for that session, you know, in the campaign. And then, sorry, if I have to cough or something, it's because my throat, yeah, it got kind of rough from being sick. Curse you, bad food. So I might have to take my drink a little more than normal. I was talking a bit earlier, but I was actually yelling at the game. I was having such a hard time, like, I'm going off topic, but like I was having such a hard time at the last level I needed to complete before I could do the final boss in Crash Bandicoot 2, Vortex Strikes Back. I got the game like the day, like the remaster, I got it the day it came out, but like I've always been kind of a yeller at games, not as much as I used to be. I used to be really bad. But like just early on, like, I know I'm not the only one that was like, did Crash Bandicoot get harder? And so the dog really did not like that, so he'd always bother me, so I've just not really played it. I decided to do more of the levels, and finally I was able to get past the one that I was stuck on. It only took, like, my brother's girlfriend, like, failing to get past it for me to be like, okay, I'm gonna do this, and I sat down and I did it, and I'm like, what? I'm stuck on that one level, so I was, like, yelling. But that's pretty much most of the talk I've been doing today, is I was yelling at that one level, and then I didn't continuously yell at it. I tried it, I think, I don't know how many times. Like, when I started, like, really yelling, I was like, okay, you know what, like, fuck this. I'll try to get Sophie to do it next time she comes over. Because she grew up playing Crash 2, but, anyway. Yeah, so, just the throat. But, yeah, so I did a reading for myself for the campaign, and then I also did one for Davin, you know, like, being like, yo, Des, make it terror. And then I'm all like, yeah, Davin, sure, you know. So role-playing's fun. But I was curious to see what would happen, because the last time, there was very much kind of like, some of it came true, but a lot of it, I felt like Davin would have went with it, but was, like, influenced by, like, he just kind of went along with everyone, and then I was kind of curious if maybe it's because, my issue with not liking to speak up, or if, like, Davin really would have just gone along with it. So I did a reading, and I figured, well, if they're completely different, then I would know that maybe it's because I'm, like, falling out of character or something because I'm tired or something, you know? I don't know, I just thought it was curious, and it was actually kind of funny what came up. So the decks that I used the Prisma Visions, for mine, and then I used the Light Visions for Davin's. So I decided to, do them both at the same time, like, kind of flip them over at the same time. I like doing comparisons when you're flipping them over at the same time. I do that with my brother, we'll do, like, and my mom, like, when we're doing, like, spreads out of, like, spread books or something. I've now had it, like, no, we have to flip them over at the same time, because it's just fun that way. But I decided to use the Prisma Visions and the Light Visions because they're literally kind of the same deck. But you know, like, the colors are different, and just, if cards came up that were the same, like, I don't know, it would have been more of an impact. And I didn't have any repeat cards, any of these, but what was really interesting was, for the What's Gonna Happen, versus the, like the What's Gonna Happen, I did that twice. And for both of them, I kind of got the same message. Like, they were different cards, but at the same time, like, what was going on was basically, like, the same message for both of them. And both times, too, completely, because I did 2 cards and 2 cards, and then for the next, like, What's Gonna Happen, I did 2 cards, 2 cards, and they were all different cards, but yet it was basically the same thing's gonna happen, which it did. I'm trying to remember, because this one, I'm trying to remember exactly what session this was. Oh, I think this is when we fought the Chimera. Yeah, I think this was the week we fought the Chimera. Which, yeah, we fought a Chimera. Davin, he very much was like, well, if I die, I'm gonna come back as a ghost, and I'm gonna kick your butt, and if you die too, I'm gonna come back as a ghost and kick your ghost's butt. So, just saying. And actually, Davin was the one that finished off the Chimera. And he was the only one that also, like, didn't lose any hit points at all. Like, the whole time they're like, oh, like, you know, because they had to try to remember to keep track of, like, how much they're healing and stuff from, like, resting. And, Flint was also really fucked because he lost an arm. So, like, we were both working hard, like, healing him. So, like, Cruz got kind of, like, ignored a bit. Because, like, both of us were just trying to heal Flint. I was like, I did good today, so I'm not going to charge you, but I'll help you. So we could, like, double it some more. But yeah, and then, like, later they're like, oh, like, what's everyone's hit points? They're like, oh, like, only this. And I'm like, I'm still at full health. What are you guys talking about? That creature didn't even hit me. And I killed it. But yeah, I think that was the Chimera fight. And it was interesting because, like I said, the What's Gonna Happen, although told in different cards, were essentially the same exact message. But the advice were actually completely different. The advice that I got for mine, which, I'm trying to remember exactly, like connecting with others, like going through the door, like be kind, but don't be afraid to fight, kind of thing. Where Davin's was more like be creative, be wild. Sure, like you could be charitable a little bit, but don't forget, break some hearts along the way. Yeah, like, did I not? I apparently did not write the 2 advice cards that I pulled for Davin in the second part for some reason. Yeah, I know one thing that I thought was really interesting for the advice, like literally, like the difference there was, for instance, the advice on the first What's Gonna Happen for me was Judgment and the 2 of Chalices, and then for Davin it was the Queen of Pentacles and the 3 of Swords. So I'm like, 2 of Chalices, 3 of Swords, like that's an interesting, like completely different advice going on, and I thought it was really interesting. And like actually doing, like, actually fighting, like, well, I did go through the you know, the door, and I wasn't really afraid to fight necessarily. Davin was terrified, though. But, like, Davin was also charitable. Like, he was like, because I don't usually, like, it wasn't until, like, not last week, the week before, that I was actually looking at the cards while playing. I usually was like, during the last ones, I would look and go like, oh, you know, I'm going to see if my choices kind of went along with the cards, because it's just curious to see how it plays out. and like literally the whole charitable, but like not gather the coin, or be to a point but break some hearts. And like the whole charitable thing, literally Davin was like, whenever I would like offer heal, because Karuz always, he kind of just kept doing like the heal roll checks. I didn't like bother with Davin. Well, first off, he doesn't even have like any like med kit kind of stuff anyway. If anything, if another person did, or like maybe he's just gonna assess the damage, he could. But Davin, very much, he'd be like, I'll join in healing, you know, for a little bit of coin. That's how he's been. But like this time was the time where he's like, you know what, like Flint just lost his fucking arm and I fucking burned a chimera. I'll help you do some healing free of charge. So like, yeah, Davin did that. But yeah, and like just, I was trying to think of like the best way to like deal with this chimera too, like as Davin. And like the be creative but be wild, like that one literally made me think of like, so Davin, as soon as I'm thinking, okay, we gotta fight something in this weird guy's basement, I don't know about that, but we gotta fight him. So like, I'm like, okay, what druid spells I got prepared? Let's do, and then as soon as the chimera appears, he like freaks and just summons a dire rat to attack. He goes like, ah! And there's like a dire rat. So like he was thinking about being creative, and he did at least get like a bit creative with I'm trying to remember. What moves did I use anyway? Because the fight did not actually last that long, especially since we had the NPC Matilda that the DM plays. She's got some really, she's got a good gun. Gunslinger with a really good gun. It's louder than Flint's too. But yeah, there was some good damage going on. I'm trying to remember. The Summon Nature's Ally, I think, lasts 2 rounds for the level I was at. And, like, literally, like, it disappeared, and I took my turn, and I finished it off. So, like, it was only, like, a 2-3 turn fight. So what else I do? I summoned for my 1 turn. The next turn, I don't remember. I don't think I did any DPS. I think maybe I threw a heal out. Can't remember. But then, like, I was like, okay, gotta move in a good position so I can just use my fire attack. I was gonna throw, and they're like, because I was like, I don't know if I'll hit anyone with a cone. And they're like, nah, you won't graze them. And I'm like, okay, then, let's freaking burn, you know. But yeah, it was interesting, because that's what I was curious about, like, about the whole thing. And I feel like this reading kind of, like, showed that, like, the readings are different when you even do it for characters that you're playing as. Because, like, you're role-playing as the character. Like, you're basically becoming this character. So, like, as the character, you're not going to do the same things you would do. So, like, a reading for you is going to be different than, like, doing a reading for Davin. You know, like, Davin, literally, that guy that's like, yeah. But, he values his own life over everyone. And he also really likes fire. Also currently, like, right now, I had him flirt a bit with, Matilda, the NPC. And it was very funny because, like, Matilda was, like, just going, like, just deciding, because me and Flint, we couldn't make up our mind if we wanted to, like, go search the train or not, like, for anything left over. I was kind of, like, for it, because I'm like, oh, we could find little pastries, and Flint's like, oh, I could find hats. But the orcs just left it, so we didn't even know what we'd find, and then Matilda's like, I'm just gonna go look. And then I was like, wow, like, I gave her a compliment. And I think I also did on the train too. And like the first time I did that, I was like thinking in my head like, I'm gonna say this. And I know what I'm gonna do with this. And what I'm doing with this is just, Davin's going to flirt, and I'm not gonna make it like obvious like, flirting. No, it's gonna be just like, seems like he's jealous of other people. Like, I had one comment where I had him search after everyone else did, because the specific thing I said, I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna search because I'm trying to show off to a certain someone in the party. So it comes off like he was trying to show off for Matilda, but actually he was showing off to the new member, because he's trying to, like, one up the new guy. But it's just, he's gonna, like, flirt, like, not heavy flirting, but it's gonna come off almost like obvious flirting. But the whole time, he's not gonna know he's flirting. Like, as soon as, like, that one flirt on the train, Matilda's, like, flashed, like, her face, like, she, like, blushed, and then just walked away, and then Davin's all like, what'd I say? And, like, Flint's, like, laughing, and Davin's like, no, what did I say? Like, her face just got all red, and just, like, what did I say? But, like, no one answered. I don't think anyone's realized my intention, that, like, he's gonna flirt, but he doesn't actually know that he's flirting, because, like, that is such an Arrow thing to do. And, like, literally, the only characters are what I would ever I would ever roleplay as is characters that are on the Arrow spectrum, the Ace spectrum, or, like, both. So Davin is Arrow Ace, or at least on the Aromantic spectrum. Like, I literally, when someone brings up dating or something, he's probably going to be like, dating? Oh, is it that thing that people do? Like, where they go and eat food? And then they'll be like, you've never been on a date? And he'll be like, no, I'm only 57, because, like, he's only 57. He's only been an adult for 17 years. He's known. But anyway, I just thought that was funny, so I share my perfect intentions. And I will do it until he dies. We already lost one person. That was another thing I was going to bring up. It was not the last one we had last Saturday. It was the week before. I can't remember the cards. I took a picture of them on my phone. I didn't write them down. Sometimes, like, I was starting to kind of write, like, the results of readings in this, but at the same time, like, when I'm just in the living room, like, doing a bunch of readings, just, you know, hanging out, or when I'm over at my Nana's, I just like to take pictures of them instead. Okay, I think it was after that. Oh, here it is. See, we got, for those ones gonna happen. The, that card made me think of the person we ended up finding. And walking away when we know, in, you know, the Eight of Vials, like, those made sense. For the advice for that, it was the Mystic of Tomes and the Dreamer of Candles, so it was kind of like, be smart, but don't forget about that little spark. And then also what's going to happen is, it's the Seven of Candles and Explorer of Bells, and then the advice on that was Strength and Death. And it was actually really interesting, because the session ended with Karuz dying, and Davin full on was either going to let him die, because, like, literally we were taken, and we were, like, surrounded by, like, there was no way we were going to get out of this, you know? And instead of just, like, complying, which, literally what it was, the group that took us, and that live in the desert, which we were not actually supposed to ever get to at this point, instead of, like, obviously, you know, like, we see a large group of people that are attacking the train, you know, instead of just escaping, Karuz decided to attack. Sophie was not expecting that. That is why we got captured and taken to their camp. And Karuz would not comply, and he got put into the thing of terror, which made him get, like, 40 years older. Still not. I was still older though. I think I had him by, like, what, like, 4 years or something, you know? But yeah, like, the group that captured us, they literally were like, either you're gonna go into our are, I can't remember what the exact word, but it was like of terror. Like either you're gonna go in that, or you're gonna join us and become a communist. It was a group of communists that live out in the desert. And like that's where their base was. And like Davin's like Flint's like, I don't know. And Davin literally is thinking in his head, it's like, oh shit, well if I don't want to go in that, especially not after seeing like Haru's like, I mean, I don't think I'm gonna look that old because I'm a gnome, but I heard his screams. That doesn't sound good. I'm just gonna join just to live. And I think Flint was probably gonna do that too. But Karuz literally like just starts attacking everyone and he dies, and then he makes the choice of allowing himself to have a painful suffering end instead of just a normal death, just so he could kill everyone, and he killed everyone. So we were actually able to escape. But yeah, like Davin literally was going to his original plan was to kind of like stun him, like daze him for a bit, and just to try to like to see, so he could see like his comrade like is like attacking him, you know, just dazing him, like, look man, you know. It was gonna be like that, but that didn't happen. I rolled, my initiative was low, and yeah, so it was I was either gonna do that or I was just gonna let him die, because if he didn't die, like, we were gonna die too. You know? So like literally one of the advice cards though is like there was strength and then the freaking death card. And so I told like Eric afterwards, I'm like, man, like, it's so funny. Like, literally it was the death card for the advice. It was like, try to just stay strong and just maybe daze him. But then also, if it comes to it, just let him die. If anything, he'll just have to play a new character anyway. I mean, Davin's kind of been scared about him the whole time with the way he talks about eating people. Also, it's very suiting for, like, especially, like, this depiction of death, which this is from, I drew it from the Numenos Tarot. And just having all those flowers and, like, that life, like, it makes me think of, like, their webcomic. Like, literally, where the destructive force and stuff, like, literally, like, life kind of can't be without death. Like, they go hand in hand, you know? And it just actually made me think of even what I did, like, and I planned on it, we just kind of ended right at the death. But I literally planned, like, afterwards, I was, like, in my head, just going, like, okay, at the start of the next campaign, I'm burning the body. Because that's what Davin does. He is a druid, and specifically he's a wildfire druid, so when there's dead forests, he burns them down for new life to grow. So, like, he's helping the environment as a druid, and he also gets to burn things, and he really likes burning things. So I had Davin burn the body with, the daily produced flames, because I still had that because I hadn't fought. You know, like, literally, when, he attacked the people attacking the train, Davin was like, and gets down on the ground, and then I hid my special magic ring that I don't know what it does yet, and so they didn't take it. I hid it in my shoe when they weren't looking. And just, yeah, like, I burned the body. One, because it's a good ceremonial thing. Flint was more affected by the loss than Davin was, because Davin literally was afraid that he might get eaten or something. Also, literally, the guy kept rushing into battles, and Davin was not ready to die either, so the whole time Davin's been kind of, like, conflicted about the whole thing. But then also, because, like, Flint was questioning, like, oh, you just like burning things, and I was like, or like, oh, or maybe you did for that, and I'm like, okay, so I did it for the ceremonial thing. I did it because it's a nature thing that I do, and then also I love fire. It's a win-win-win, you know? So, yeah, I just thought that was funny because, like, literally, like, that depiction of death also works, like, really well for, like, what Davin is, you know? And then, we've had one session since then. I don't remember. Yeah, it kind of was like there's going to be a new member feel like that card might have actually been a part of the purple skinned people with antennae that we found in a suitcase. Yes, that did happen. I found them in a suitcase. The two advice cards, actually, I just saw them as Davin and Zane, which is Eric's new character. And then, of course, there's, like, decisions, and then thinking back, there was a lot of, like decisions of what we're gonna do, and then also, like, just, like, Flint being like, oh, like, Caru's, you know, and stuff. So, it fit pretty well. Also, like, I don't know if you could see this on the phone, but, like, Davin, like, he was able to find himself a miniskirt. It's got a little bit of blood on him. It's got a little bit of blood, but, that's okay. Like, this was one of the goals I set. Like, as soon as, like, the campaign started, I wanted Davin to have a skirt. Like, I would randomly be like, are there any skirts? Can I find a skirt? And then I was gonna get it. Like, that was literally one of my missions. So, like, I kind of, like, was doodling while we were waiting, because we were taking a short break. And I just doodled him in a skirt. Because, yes. And, like, he's just living that fabulous life, you know? It's just over his leather armor. It's perf. But anyway, yeah, that's pretty much it. Like, to sum up, I found it really interesting, and I think in future for, like, doing sessions, I'm going to continue just to do readings beforehand, just because I'm curious to see, like, how it plays out. I like looking at it. I actually find it more fun to look at it afterwards, like, not really taking the advice, but seeing if somehow I took the advice without realizing it. Like, forget what the whole reading was just to see how it plays out and maybe what I could have done differently. I just think that's fun. I mean, like, it's not real life. Like, I'm not really, like, getting sucked into a suitcase and finding purple-skinned people with antennae. That are scared of me, but Flint decided to lie to them, so he's now getting blood from them weekly. I rolled pretty good at perception in order to find that suitcase. Davin has really good perception. Yeah, it was interesting to see that, like, doing readings for myself is different than doing it for OCs, even though they are me, because just the advice is completely different. And that was, like, the whole thing I was just curious about, you know? Especially since, I would really like to roleplay as Nevia in Final Fantasy XIV. She's my character. It just hasn't happened. But she, like, is, like, a diviner, you know? So, I've, like, literally thought about, just how it would be if she gave a reading. Like, if that would be different. I don't know if it would necessarily be different. I think maybe the cards might translate it a little bit differently, when she's giving the message, because, like, to me, like, the message comes from the cards, not, like, actually me. So, I could see, like, her translating, like, and maybe even the cards, how they would speak to her might be different. Yeah, anyway, that's pretty much it. I think if I did anything else OC related, I think it'd be interesting to look and see what out of my decks would be, like, the deck that, like, Davin would read with, what Nevia would read with, and when Davin dies, because he might die eventually, we only just reached level 3, but, here, I'm gonna pause this real quick. I thought that I was gonna make it just before the time ran out. But I do actually have the next character that I would want to play Plan. So, her name's gonna be Tress. And just, I have to, like, write up, like, I kind of know, like, what her, like, backstory is. It might, like, get more added. I'm keeping it a little bit more vague-ish in her current situation, just so it's easier for if Davin does die, then, like, her getting, like, integrated into the campaign. Like, for instance, like, Eric pretty much just kind of wanted to play, like, this kind of character, so Sophie's like, do you want to be, like, a private investigator? And you know, and, like, Eric's like, yeah. So, I was thinking, if anything, it wouldn't be that hard to incorporate a character like her into it, just because of her, like, starting situation anyway. You could, like, mess around with it a little bit, it'd be pretty easy. But, yeah, be interesting what decks she'd want to read with, too. She, specifically, I already told Sophie, like, like what I would want to play. Tress is a changeling, specifically from a mute hag, and she's also was born from rat folk families, from a rat folk family. So instead of having like your typical changeling appearance, I'm going to do the other trait that you can use, which is to have them like their dad. I think that makes the most sense, especially from like a mute hag. Because the way that they make changelings is like they curse like unborn children. So she's going to be a changeling, but she's going to be basically a rat folk. And it died right when I was finishing up. Anyway, continuing the sentence I was saying, she looks like a rat folk, except for her one eye is white, which is a trait for the hag which cursed changelings. Her claws are supposed to look more sharp, and then she kind of gives off this like weird kind of like atmosphere about her, you know, like there's something not right about her. Yeah. Anyway, I was thinking that it would. I'd written it down because it takes a while for the camera to charge. Anyway, I thought that if there was anything else I would see, it would probably be just seeing decks that they would probably read with, you know. Yeah. Anyway, that's it for me. Anyway, I'm Des from Aro-Tarot. This was kind of long, but it's the last part of me just reading for OCs and specifically Davin and seeing what happens. Because I was curious, man. But anyway, yeah, I'm Des from Aro-Tarot and I'm logging off, so